okay, isn't it?
Hang on a minute. Maybe I've got it in my pocket. Would it be better out of my pocket?
Right?
Would it be better now?
Maybe a little bit. Maybe a little bit.
Like that? Is that any better?
Still distorted. I can't. No. All right. Well, we'll go with distorted audio. All right.
You better warn Francois.
You better go. We haven't got time.
Well, you better warn him it's distorted, otherwise he'll freak.
Yeah. Okay. You ready to go?
No, I can't get my... Yeah, I am now. Can you still hear me?
Yeah.
Okay.
You ready?
Yeah.
No, you're not. You've got hands behind your back.
No, I haven't.
Oh, I see. The delay. I'm looking at the delay. Okay. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hi, everybody. Where's my music? Come on, camera guy. I need music. Come on.
Music coming up.
Music coming up. Well, I can't sing. I can't fill in. So, come on.
Just a second. I'll be right with you.
Yeah, I've heard that story before. That's the story of my life, folks. You'll be with me. Ah! There we go.
I'll make it louder.
$20. Saying. $20. Hi guys, Jabor. Happy Thanksgiving. Well, everybody, welcome to Mrs. Calabash Cooks. Welcome, come into my kitchen. I'm Maggie. I don't know if we've got the gremlins in with us today, but the speech with the microphone, excuse us if it's a little bit distorted. We've been trying for the past half an hour to get the speech correct, but sometimes, I don't know, it's not coming through as clearly as it should. And so today for the program, I thought I would do appetizers. Everyone has their own favourite recipe, probably a family recipe for turkey, the family recipe for pecan pie or whatever dessert you have for Thanksgiving. But appetizers, they cost a lot of money if you just buy everything. I mean, there's nothing wrong with going out and buying an appetizer, but if you've got a crowd of people coming in, and especially people coming in from a distance, they're hungry. I like to arrange about half an hour from when people arrive to when we're sitting down for the meal, so that it gives me a chance just to get everything finished off in the kitchen, the turkey's put to rest, I can turn the oven down, put the vegetables in my serving dishes, get the pans out of the way, because I hate coming back into a kitchen with everything looking like World War III. And so appetizers just give people that chance to mingle, to sort of say, whew, you know, a glass of wine, so it's a Coke, but a glass of wine and just sort of relax. But it's a thin line with appetizers. People are hungry, they're starving sometimes if they're travelled, but yet you don't want them to fill up on appetizers because you've spent all day, probably the day before, doing your prep, and so you want people to enjoy the meal. So you just want to take the edge off the appetizer, edge off the appetite without filling them up. And so today I thought we'd do something reasonably simple, don't cost a lot of money, and that can be prepared beforehand. I can sit and eat appetizers all day long and forget the turkey, I must confess. And so I had to think, what can I do? Because again, when I'm doing my Thanksgiving on Monday, it's a very pared down Thanksgiving this year. with Derek not feeling well. Excuse me, I've got itches. He's improving, but not well enough to really participate in any prep or house prep or anything like that. So it's all falling on my shoulders, which is often the case with the lady in the house. And so it is a pared down Thanksgiving this year. Not a lot of people, just family. And so we're going to take it quiet. But I still like to do a festive meal. We're having turkey, and I want some appetizers. So I was thinking, it hurts me to think at the moment, but I thought we'd make hummus. Now, hummus is quite expensive to buy, really, really easy to make, and I've done a hummus trio. So that's using 3 cans of beans, but they can be divided up into 3, so that you can just make 1, or you can make 2. Today I'm just going to make 2 hummus, 1 which can be maybe eaten today, and they can be covered over, left in the fridge, and they'll be fine until Monday. So that'll be one dish that I don't have to do. And I went shopping yesterday. 4 hours later I got home. I was absolutely exhausted. I don't know what happened. Things weren't in the store. And I wanted some tahini. Yeah, fairly quick, easy. Searched the whole town, no tahini. So I thought, okay, it's not hard to make. I'll show you how to make a tahini. And it's a lot cheaper to make your own tahini. It tastes much nicer. And you have to buy a jar, and you don't probably use it that much. And so I'm going to show you how to make the tahini that goes in the hummus. We're going to make some vol-au-vents. You can buy the vol-au-vent cases, or you can use the puff pastry and make your own vol-au-vents. And today we're just going to put mushrooms in, because that's simple. You've probably got mushrooms in. You can make a shrimp, you can make ham and mushroom, put all sorts of things in there, but today we're just going to make a mushroom. And the pink pickled eggs is it's an old recipe that I used to make in England, and actually I used to sell them. I used to sell them commercially, and I used to send them over. They loved them in London around Covent Garden, and that's where all the an awful lot of the gourmet food stores are. And so that is something that you can make beforehand, leave in the fridge, and it's ready for serving, and it's inexpensive. So I think we'll start with the vol-au-vents. Now, I made some vol-au-vent cases this morning, and I like to have a block of puff pastry when I'm doing this. No blocks of puff pastry at all. We've got flies, excuse me. We live in the country, and the sleepy, the dopey, and they're an absolute pain. So I made some vol-au-vents earlier this morning, and I had to use the sheets of puff pastry, which aren't as good because you need a fairly thick thickness. And that's when I say the gremlins are with me, because about 1:30 I looked and I thought, oh, I've left the other puff pastry in the freezer. It needs to be defrosted. Normally I defrost it in the fridge, and I had the oven on. I just put the puff pastry over the top, and so fingers crossed. Here we go. Let's have a look at this, folks. Now normally this is in a big sheet, but look, it rolls out. I cut the sheets in 2, and I'll show you why, what I'm going to do. Because I need that to be at least twice the thickness. So I might even cheat. I don't know. Let's see. I might do an experiment. So what I'm going to do, I need these puff pastry sheets to be at least double the thickness. Now I like to buy the puff pastry that's, come on, just stretch yourself. There we are. I'm going to really cheat with this one, and I'm going to do it in 3, like that, because I like a really thick vol-au-vent. I'll show you what they look like this morning with just double sheets. They were that thickness, or that's when I had some pastry left over and rolled it out. So I like a thicker vol-au-vent. So let's see if we can do it this way. But I like a puff pastry that's made with butter. We're not going to waste that one. So we've got that, yeah, like that, and we're going to press those down so that they make one thickness. And I've got a baking sheet, and so I'm going to just flop some cold water on that, and the steam helps the pastry rise. There we are. This is actually, I have 3 of these and I use them for baking sheets, and I think originally they were the tops of an oven and an electric oven. I can't remember, but I like them for baking sheets. So depending, now if you want to have sort of a cocktail size, use that and a smaller one, but I've got a 3-inch here. So cut these out like that. You can buy, I've lost my flour, there we are. You can buy ready cooked vol-au-vents if you want to, vol-au-vent cases if you want to skip this. And I'm going to put mushrooms in here. And I'm just wondering, Derek, could you have a look? I've left in the other room, I've left my prep tray with the mushrooms and everything on it.
And where would it be?
In the dining room.
Okay.
Please. So we're going to cut these out. Now don't waste any pastry that's left over. What I'm going to do is I'm going to join, there we are. You see, we want them to be together like that. Whoops, that one's, I will put that one in with that one. It's now got a little bit soft, if anything. You can't have it too soft. Thank you. Oh. Like that. Let's just cut that one. Like that. Now, we've got all this pastry left over and we're not going to waste it. So what we're going to do is incorporate that with it. Let's take that away. Like that. And use that like that. We're going to put this pastry on there like that. And we're going to fold it into the center, and turn it like that. I'm just going to move this over here. My rolling pin. And so when we roll out puff pastry, short, sharp rollings like that. And then fold over, seal, 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 and then we'll just roll this out. And this is the way that if you're making puff pastry, that you roll, and then in between each rolling where you've put your butter, you let it rest for half an hour. And that is why I tend to use bought puff pastry. Now, that is probably just a little bit thick, but short, sharp rolls. And 1, 2, we want the pretty side up, which is normally the rolled side, but on this it isn't. There we are. I've got the oven on at 450 because we want it to rise quickly and brown. There we are. Now normally I wouldn't waste that, I would roll that out again, but today we're a little bit short of time, and I realised whilst I'm cleaning up, in my effort to get the kitchen cleaned up, I've put my pan away to make the sauce. Brilliant. As I say, I'm sure the gremlins are working hard. So I don't like to keep flour on the board, so I always have something sharp. This, you can use a palette knife. This is an old steel ruler, just to take the flour away, like that. And we'll give it a quick wipe, because I have friends that say, oh, I can't make pastry, there's flour everywhere. There's not flour everywhere if you just clean up after yourself as you go along, and then wash your hands. Now, there's two ways of thinking about this. You can either put your egg white on now, or the egg white after. I'm going to put the egg wash. I'm going to put the egg wash on now, because then cut into it, because the egg seals it, and I want to break that seal. So, and it's a little bit pasty if you don't just brush it with a little egg. And it'll be interesting to see just what thickness these come out, because this is a new pastry. I've never used this pastry before. I couldn't find any of my true and trusted pastry in the stores, and this is a new one, and so we'll see how it works. Let's get rid of that. We don't need that with us. Now we take a smaller and we cut through like that. I think I'll just put it in a little flour. I do know a chef that actually cuts out two rounds, a bigger round and a smaller round, but that seems to be an awful lot of hard work as far as I'm concerned. We always did it this way. There we are. And these can be served either hot or cold. The nice thing is, by the time you're serving these, most of the stuff will be out of the oven. The turkey will be cooked, so you can just slip them in just for a few minutes to reheat. And you can actually fill them and store them cold, and fill them with the sauce, stir everything cold and just reheat. But be careful if you've got meat in there, if you're reheating it. I like to reheat the sauce separately because I like to bring it up to temperature, just to make sure that there's no food poisoning. There we are. So we'll see how that works. So that's going in the oven at 450. They'll take about 10 minutes. They'll take just about 10 minutes. So that's the two size, just the two size cutters that I used. So now for that we're going to make, what did I do with it? Boom, boom, boom. We're going to make the mushroom dressing, the mushroom filling, and I've got flour, mushrooms, and butter. And excuse me, I'm going to have to get a pan. I put a pan out specially. How stupid can you get? There we are. I'll use this one. It's the easiest one I can get to. So we need to melt the butter. Just let the pan get warm before you put the butter in. And you want all the juices to come out of the mushrooms. I've just used a plain white mushroom today, but it is rather nice to use a mixture of mushrooms and a few of maybe an oyster mushroom in there, and just to add to the flavours. But this is just plain mushrooms chopped up. Now I chopped them up quite finely because you can see the size of the Val-au-Vents, not very big. And also I want all the flavour to come out. So as I said before, the more cuts that you have, the more flavour is going to come out. And I want the sauce to be really, really flavourful. Just let that get warm, and I've got the milk already weighed up. I'm using butter. You could use oil. You could use margarine. There we are. If you wanted at this stage, you could put a few herbs in there, a few mixed herbs, a little garlic. It's entirely up to you, but today I'm just doing a plain, straightforward mushroom. And we just want the mushrooms to cook. Whilst that is cooking, we're not going to waste our time. We'll keep an eye on it. And this is the mixture for the pink eggs. Now I've got beet juice in there from cooking the beets, and actually you can see that I've added a little cooked beetroot because I didn't have a lot of beetroot for the amount of beet juice, and I want it to be a little bit more intense in colour. And I've got some red wine vinegar in there, a cup of red wine vinegar. Now for the spices, I need 8 peppercorns. This is really, really easy to do and quite spectacular actually. So 2, 4, 6, 8, and we'll 2 for good luck. There we are, they're only little. Peppercorns, cloves, 4 cloves, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 4 allspice berries. Now, you might have a little bit of trouble finding the allspice berries. So, 1, 2, 3, 4. These are what the allspice berries look like, just like that. If you put the crushed allspice in, it's going to be, it will cloud the vinegar, cloud your juice, and just one good size bay leaf, if not 2 small ones. Now we're going to bring this up to boiling point. Come on, doesn't want to light. There we are. So that's going to come up to boiling point. There we are. And you can see the mushrooms are nicely cooked. They don't take long, especially when they're in that state. So now we're going to make the sauce. We're going to add the flour, and I'll just add a little bit to begin with. I want a fairly thick sauce for this. Sometimes if I make a vol-au-vent, if I make a chicken or a turkey vol-au-vent after Christmas or Thanksgiving, then I will, with the white sauce, I will put a little nutmeg in there, a little ground nutmeg, and it adds. We can always add a little bit more flour if we want, but you see that's a nice roux, and we just cut, we're just boiling it out for a minute, just cooking it out for a minute so that it doesn't taste raw. We have to burst all those starch grains. Now add a little milk. Whoa, I've made a mess there. Let me wipe that up before it burns. There we are. So let's just stir that in like that. Make sure with the pan that you go right into the edge because it catches. We might need a drop more milk. It just depends. Let's have a look. And we will season these. They need to be seasoned quite well. I might not have enough for all those vol-au-vents, but I can always make some more. And that's the nice thing. If you make them beforehand, you don't have enough, then make a different filling, And it's really, I love vol-au-vents. We used to make a big vol-au-vent, a huge vol-au-vent, and use it as a main course instead of a pie. Serve it with a nice salad or vegetables, and you're ready to go. Right, this will thicken up as it comes to the boil, and we will taste it, because this hasn't got any seasoning in at the moment. Shrimp vol-au-vents are rather nice. Rather partial to shrimp vol-au-vents. That looks a good sauce. We'll add a little seasoning and then taste it. Just turn the heat down a minute, you don't want to burn the bottom. It needs a little more seasoning. And this is my Mrs. Calabash seasoning, so that's 3 of salt to 1 of pepper. You could put a little cheese in at this stage. They'll bring it off the boil, bring it off the heat, add some grated cheese. That would be rather nice. But the seasoning, it does need to be a good flavour. I would add a little more for me, but I do know that some of the people that I've got coming for Thanksgiving aren't too hot on over seasoning, and so I will leave that. I can always add a little more seasoning. So that's a good mixture. Coats the back of the spoon, and that's going to be left. I can smell, oh yes, success. They are much better than the Val-au-Vents that I did this morning. As I say, I used two different pastries. I'd never used either of them before, and I will show you the difference between the Val-au-Vents and the pastry. Now, I'm just going to bring this over here because this is just coming up to the boil. I want to boil it for about a minute or so. Just, I want to get it really hot. So just let's bring it up to the boil. Have an open window when you're doing this, because what with the vinegar and the beetroot, it can be a little bit overpowering. There we are. Let's switch that off, and I'll show you what we're going to do with it. Let that just cool for a minute. I have 6 hard-boiled eggs. Now the way I boil eggs is I just put an egg into cold water, bring it up to the boil, and let it just boil for 10 minutes. Hi Francois, welcome. I hope you're having a good day. So I'm going to put the eggs in here, and the secret. I like to peel my eggs whilst they're still quite warm. I used to, as I say, I used to sell these commercially, and there's no way are you allowed to have a little pick in the eggs. And like that one, it's got, it's not, it got stuck to the shell. It's not good. And I had a friend who, she farmed quails. And she used to manufacture and sell quail's eggs, pickled quail's eggs, and they're really, really popular in the southern parts of England, especially around Covent Market. It's quite the thing to have a quail's egg. And I said, how on earth, because they're tiny little things, and I said, how do you do it? And she said, the secret is that you cook your eggs, cool them, and then pour vinegar over. Cover, leave it overnight. And the eggshell goes like rubber, and you just do that, and it all comes off, and there's no picks. Because every little pick of every egg that you can't use, that's your profit gone. So that's how, when I had a big pan full of eggs that were boiling, I just poured vinegar over, because I used to buy 20 gallons of vinegar at the time, and that was concentrated vinegar, so that was diluted, so I just used to pour the vinegar over, just a cheap white vinegar. So what we're going to do now with this is we're going to pour that over the eggs like that. I want to make sure that all the eggs are covered like that. And this is why the beetroot that I had in the garden, it was woody. It wasn't beetroot that we could use, so I thought, great, I can use it, I can boil up the beetroot juice, but it didn't let out a lot of juice with it. And so I thought, right, I'll put the beetroot in there with it. And when that's cool, it's going to be covered and it's going to be left in the fridge until we're ready to eat. They need to be pickled at least 24 hours before eating. Though 36, 48 hours is great. So that goes over there, and I'll show you what they look like. Well, hey, what did I do with it? Oh, here we are. So this is my bowl. I did these yesterday, so they've just been in just about 24 hours. So I just want to have a look in the oven. Oh, look. Hey, hey. Look at the size of those. Yay. And I'll show you the size of the ones this morning. Look. Look at the poor little things this morning compared to that. No comparison. The difference between one brand of puff pastry and another. So I'll use that brand again. I won't use that one again. Both the same price, but one obviously works an awful lot better than the other. So I'll let those cool for a minute or two, and I'll see if I can handle them to fill them, and I think the dogs might eat these. There we are. So let's do our eggs. And now these can be eaten I'm going to just take them out and dry them. These can be eaten as an egg. They can be eaten as a salad. Make a nice salad, put these eggs on the top. But I like them for appetizers because it gives a bit of colour. And so, which dish have I got for my eggs? Oh, they're up there. Here we are. Boom, 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 boom. I need a straining spoon to take out my eggs. Look at the colour. Now, if you're going to pickle these, pickle them, if you're going to pickle and eat like a pickled egg, I always put a couple of pieces of sliced beetroot in there, and the vinegar that I've pickled them in. If you pickle them in white vinegar, as I did once, they will bleed, and they'll lose the colour, and you'll just make the vinegar a nice pink colour. So I've got my eggs, and I'm going to come back to this tray in a minute, but what I'm going to do is like that. Look at the colour, like that. And see, I like to serve it on a lettuce leaf, and then people just pick up a lettuce leaf with the egg like that. And so I won't do them all, but we'll just do enough to make a nice colour like that, like that. We'll just do another couple. I think a quarter of an egg is fine for an appetizer. Again, people like to put an assortment on the plates, and that's where you might feel with the Val-au-Vents that the smaller ones are better, because people can take more and they're not going to get quite so full. So you have a choice. You can do a smaller one or a larger one, like that. These I'm going to put back into here. I put them in the wrong one. There we are. That was hot. I don't want to put those eggs into that one. They go in there. And so just a little, something a little bit different that doesn't cost an absolute fortune to do. And it looks as though you've made the effort. Very, very simple. I like to put a cocktail stick in, and then people aren't messing up the fingers. So, and we'll do it now before I do the hummus. An old-fashioned starter, and that's celery. And this celery is atrocious. And this is just piped cream cheese in there, and I used flavoured cream cheese, and this is a jalapeno, so it's quite spicy. And again, I'll just stick a cocktail stick in there, like that, and we'll make the hummus, and we'll fill the Val-au-Vents cases. I should be able to handle them by then. So just a cocktail stick, like that. With the cream cheese, now you notice that I hadn't got a piping bag, but I've got just a Ziploc bag. Be very careful at the amount that you cut off at the end, because the nozzle will slip through. It's hardly anything that you need to snip off. I like to put, a little bit of colour. It is Thanksgiving, so I haven't even got into the Thanksgiving spirit yet. I haven't got a chrysanthemum out there. I haven't decorated the house. I haven't brought any leaves in. I've really got to get my act together tomorrow and Sunday. It's a shock to me. I wasn't ready for it. It crept up on me. Mind you, it hasn't helped with Derek being ill, and he has been really, really ill. And we've had sessions where he couldn't breathe and it hurt. And so, yeah, it's been a little bit chaotic this year, but we'll get there. One was without a stick. There we are. Now that is a platter that's easy to make, reasonably priced. Well, it's cheap. There's no reasonably priced in it. It just gives somebody to nibble. And so now for the hummus. As I say, I couldn't get tahini yesterday, and so I was being lazy. I thought I would buy the tahini, but it's really easy to make, and the recipe is online on mrscalabashcooks.com. There we are. And all it is it's a cup of these are sesame seeds, and I just gently roasted them in this cast iron skillet. Now the secret is low heat and keep stirring, because they do burn very, very quickly. The thing is, by roasting, I'm going to make an awful mess. You should have seen the top of the stove when I finished. By roasting, you're getting rid of any moisture that's in there, and it's bringing out the sweetness of the sunflower seeds. It really, really does make a difference. Takes a little bit of patience, but it's worth it. So, there we are. Oh, what a mess. And this is just some olive oil that's going in there. Now, tahini, we use mainly, I use it mainly for hummus, but it makes a nice salad dressing. You can thin it down, put it on vegetables. It's lovely. Now, to me, that is a little bit thick. So I've got a little more olive oil here. You can let it down with the olive oil. And this will keep for several months in an airtight container in the fridge, so you're not wasting it. Make a little bit more and keep it. I still need that to be a little, I want it to be a little thinner. It will take up to 1/3 cup of olive oil, depending how well you've measured out the sesame seeds. That's better. That's better. There we are. We've got a nice thick paste there. Let me just scrape it round, one more whiz, and we're there. That's it. It would be if I could get it off. There we are. Well, a nice thick paste, and it does taste a lot nicer than the bought because it's fresh. Now, my other trusty, there we are. And so I've got, for this, I'm going to do the two different hummus. I'm not doing the, I'm not going to do the oh, I can only think of the French, the spinach and artichoke hearts, but I'm going to do the sweet and spicy and just the straightforward one. So I've got, I drained and then I rinsed and then I drained again, and there's two in here. So what I'm going to do is just, rather than overload the machine, whoops, there, still there. And I'm going to add the lemon juice. There we are. I should have added the lemon juice and the garlic to begin with, but I like to do this, I do it either way because it's all going to get ground down. And the salt, there we are, it's all going to get ground down. And I reserved a little of the juice from the chickpeas, depending how thick it comes. there we are. We add a little drop of this because it's quite thick, and we're going to add the rest of the hummus, the chickpeas for the hummus. And again, this keeps quite well in the fridge. You can keep a few of the chickpeas whole for this if you just want to serve a chickpea. I'm not too keen on the whole of the chickpeas, but I know people like it. That's why I put it on the recipe. I prefer my hummus to be smooth without the chickpeas. So I'm just going to put the tahini in. There we are. I'm going to keep that. I can always use that. Let's just clean this. And so one is going to be more or less a straightforward hummus without any flavouring, because not everybody likes the flavourings. You need it to be nice and creamy, not too thick. Beautiful. I'm going to add just a drop more juice because it is a little bit thick. Lovely. We're going to taste that now, because what I'm going to do is it might need a little more salt. No, that's fine. It's nice and garlicky. You can taste the chickpeas. Beautiful. Possibly, if I had a complaint, I would say a drop more lemon juice, but it's fine. So I'm going to make this, I'm going to put this in this bowl, like this. I'm making more of this than the seasoned one, because I think this might be eaten, knowing the people that I've got. I think this might be the favourite. So we need to make a slight indentation in there. Just smooth it round. An indentation, and I'm going to put just sprinkle a little olive oil over the top. Like that. And that will keep it nice and moist. And I'm going to put a little coarse black pepper in the indentation. And that is one hummus. The second hummus, I've got, again, as I say, the gremlins were with me when I was shopping. I couldn't find any roasted peppers in a jar in the store. So, I got pickled peppers. And these are lovely, but they're very, very spicy. So I've taken the seeds out and chopped them up finely. And I'm going to put these on the top with some roasted pine nuts. Now, pine nuts are expensive. You don't need many, but they do add that flavour. You can use sunflower seeds as a substitute. Not quite the same flavour, but at a fraction of the cost. But I do like the pine nuts, and you don't need many. Now, all you do with the pine nuts, it's like when you're roasting the sesame seeds, put them in a skillet, a fairly robust skillet. Don't turn the heat up too high. Keep stirring, because they will burn very, very quickly. And you need to bring them so they're nice and brown, and like that, because they're nice and brown, and that is what brings out the flavour and the nuttiness. So let's just take that out. Guess what I'm having for supper? I'm spoilt for choice because I like Val-au-Vents. I like pickled eggs, and I'm passionately fond of hummus. So I don't know, the hummus is extremely good for me. I could eat that for breakfast, but I must make sure that I've got some left over for Thanksgiving. So I shall probably decant a little bit for myself today. So let's put that over there. Again, make a well in the centre. So you see, you could do the 3 hummus, and it's got colour, and if people don't want spicy, you can offer 2, which is the one with spinach, and the one with spinach, and just the straightforward hummus. So just drizzle a little oil over the top. That oil will seep in. And I really wanted a little bit more of an indentation in there. Let's push that out. My peppers. So make it so that people can take a good spoonful. You know, if people come from the edge, they can still get some filling, and the pine nuts. And that's a sweet and savoury, because, and I'm going to just put some pine nuts around the edge like that, because they really, really do bring out the flavour of the hummus. Some red and some pine nuts. There we are. These you can serve with pita chips. You can make your own pita chips. Just bake some pita, put a little olive oil on, bake some pita, or serve it like I am with these. And these are little pita breads. So there you are. You've got the hummus with the pita bread. People can put a nice spoonful of hummus on the pita breads. And now for the place de resistance. Yeah, I can handle these now. These I won't do all these because we're running a little bit out of time, and I was going to put these on a plate. Here we are. We can use that plate. Again, I've put some lettuce on the plate just to add a little bit of colour. But what we're going to do is we take the top off like so, and you can see all that in there. We don't want that. So just gently take a spoon. It's better to do it on the you're not going to damage your vol-au-vent quite so much if you have it on a surface like that. We'll just do 3. Boom, boom, boom. No, that's not a very nice one. There we are. So we want the little cap off like that. We'll take out the inside like so. There we are. And that's a nice one. Just take the cap off. Now if I'm putting these in the freezer or the fridge without filling in, then I take all this excess pastry out like that. You can just push it down like that. And we've got 3 caps like so. We'll put this back over here. We'll cancel the oven. The sauce is now nice and thick, so we just fill the vol-au-vents like this. Fill the vol-au-vents like so. A nice sprig of parsley in there, but my parsley has gone, yeah, the frost, didn't like it. So put the caps on like that. Clean up the mess, and let's make it look a little bit more like Thanksgiving. I had my board. Some tomato. I'm afraid I've had to buy tomatoes. This is the first time since the tomato season they went the frost. They didn't like the frost, unfortunately. I just want to make that look a little bit more interesting. A little bit of red in there. And you know what? We can actually just add a little bit. Let's turn these on the side like that to add a little more colour. And there you are. A plate full of appetizers. And can all be prepared beforehand so that you're not dashing around at the last minute when you've got company coming. And it looks really, really interesting. If you like, then serve a nice, I always make a cheese board to go with it, and also make a vegetable platter, and so people can eat the hummus with the vegetables. It's healthy. Just be careful. If you don't know the people that's coming, tell them that there are sesame seeds in the hummus, just in case anybody has an allergy to sesame seeds. And so thank you very much for watching. I will see you again next week. on mrscalabashcooks.com. I'm not quite sure what we'll be doing at the same time, and we will be having an open chat at 7 o'clock on 7:30. Thank you. 7:30 on Tuesday. That's the day after Thanksgiving. So please join me. I'd be really, really interested to see how your Thanksgiving went. And to all our Canadian friends, happy Thanksgiving. And bye from Mrs. Calabash Cooks. Bye. Thanks, guys. Bye.
I don't know what the hell happened with the sound. I think that thing is running out of juice and I don't have the right cable.
Oh.
So I'm going to have to call Sony to get them to send me a cable.
Oh.
It's very similar to all the rest of them.